Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo joins us now. Secretary, good to see you. We just got a very strong jobs number. Lots of people back to work, but wage growth is still lower than inflation. Even people with jobs, those who we're talking to are terrified that the cost of everything is going up. What are you doing about that?
Morning. Good morning. Good to see you. Look, this is a good news story in these jobs numbers. I hear you. It's not perfect, but it is a good news story. We've added millions of jobs since the president became president, and unemployment is now at the lowest rate that it's been since the beginning of the pandemic. With respect to prices increasing, it is the COVID disrupted a lot of supply chains. Supply and demand is out of whack for certain goods, but we do not have fears at this point related to persistent inflation. We just need to shore up these supply chains to get supply and demand back in sync. But as I said, these jobs numbers are a clear testament to the fact that the president's economic plan is working. It's really fantastic. The economy has grown at the fastest rate the past 6 months that it has in the past 40 years.
The hospitality industry, including all the workers around me, they've been struggling to bring workers back. You've said in the past people aren't coming back to work because it's a skills gap, not a worker shortage. But these aren't high-skilled jobs. These are cashiers, drivers, delivery people. How can the skills gap be the reason those people aren't coming back?
No, I think in that instance, you're right. The skills gap obviously is, for kind of higher wage, higher skilled jobs. I think a lot of people in those industries are afraid to go back. Those are close in contact, high contact businesses, and people are afraid. The other thing is a lot of those jobs are held by women. And we still know, even though these are good jobs numbers, women are still lagging. There's still millions of women who fell out of the workforce, who aren't yet back in the workforce. They are in a lot of those hospitality jobs that you're referring to, and that relates to childcare. Until we do more to make sure that everyone has access to high-quality, affordable childcare, which means public pre-K and, affordable childcare, women will struggle to get back into the workforce. And that is why, the president has proposed historic investments in childcare, in the care economy. And as Commerce Secretary, I have been a strong advocate that Congress make those investments because it's essential for our economy. If we're going to unleash all of the talent in our economy, including women, we need childcare. And so I think that that's playing out in what you are seeing in the hospitality industry.
Is there something we need to do for small businesses? We didn't raise the federal minimum wage, but I haven't seen anyone talking about $7, $8, $10. They're talking about $15, $16, $20 an hour. Many of these small businesses just can't pay those kind of wages, and they're losing workers, not who are just staying home, but to the Amazons of the world who are hiring millions of people for those warehouse jobs. Does that mean we're going to lose our small businesses like we lost our malls to Amazon?
It's an excellent question, and I don't think so. We have, again, in the president's economic package, there are a number of initiatives specifically designed to help small businesses. Also, I know from talking to many governors, they are using their relief money to provide help and grants and loans to small businesses. And we have to do everything we can for the smallest of businesses. They're the ones who are hit hardest. Go down any main street in America right now, and it is still heartbreaking. You see so many, permanently closed signs. And these are the, a small bakery, a small restaurant, a small shop. So I think that we have to be there for our small businesses so that we don't have the result that you're talking about. Now, having said all of that, increased wages are good for Americans. You cannot survive on $12 an hour working full time. You are working in poverty. So I do want to say that we want Americans to be paid a livable wage, and that's where we need to move this economy. And the president's been very clear on that. We have to have policies that are good for business, but also good for workers.
How do you balance how much support to give? The jobs numbers are great. When we look at GDP and consumer spending, they're at pre-pandemic levels. But we're still not out of COVID. The administration is extending or putting a new moratorium on rental evictions. How do you balance when we say, you know what, we are in a post-COVID economy? It's time to take the foot off the gas in terms of support.
Yes. Well, what we need to do, which is what we're trying to do, is have Congress pass the president's jobs package and infrastructure package, because fundamentally, to get truly past COVID and to build back better, we need these fundamental investments in job training, apprenticeships, infrastructure, roads, bridges, broadband, which will long term increase our economic growth and increase our productivity. And so we need to get to the business of doing that and making those long-term investments. With respect to COVID, I mean, the Delta variant is real. We're doing everything we know how to do to get Americans to be vaccinated. We won't be able to turn the corner on COVID until all Americans get vaccinated and push through this, the current challenges with the Delta variant.
And we're seeing more businesses demand that. In the last couple of hours, United Airlines announced a vaccine mandate. They've got tens of thousands of employees. We also learned that the administration is just thinking about, hasn't done anything, but thinking about withholding federal funds to certain industries to get those industries to push more COVID vaccines. That would be great, but what does that look like? Is that a serious consideration?
I know the president's team on COVID is trying to be as creative as possible in considering all options. And so, yes, everything is being considered, obviously, in a very thoughtful way, because, we want to get it right. This is too important. But the fact of the matter is, it's incredibly frustrating that certain Americans are still choosing not to be vaccinated. I mean, because of the great work of the Biden administration, anyone can get a vaccine for free any day. And we know these are incredibly effective vaccines. At this point, there is no excuse not to get yourself vaccinated. It's easy, it's free, it's safe, it's effective. So we are starting to consider different approaches, more creative approaches, more incentives, because until everyone's vaccinated, we won't be out of the woods. To your point, how do we turn the corner on COVID? Everyone needs to be vaccinated. And then we need to get to the business of making these long-term investments so we can fundamentally improve our productivity and innovation and competitiveness in this economy.